All right, in the second part of today's lectures, we're going to talk about the distributions of sports products. So after learning some basic concepts, when we look at sports industries, there are a lot of different products that can be distributed. So we have to make decisions on. So we're going to talk about three of the most common decisions that are related to the place, related to the distribution process, right? So those are three distribution decisions that we have to make all the times are facility. We have to go and find a place where we can host these events. So why are we finding these stadiums? Why are we using this stadium? Why are we building these stadiums in these particular places? Right. So they have reasons. The second thing is about distribution channels related to sports, like retail distributions, distributions of the manufacturers, peers, and the mainly the tickets. Right. So how are we going to sell tickets? As we talk about the sports industry, three main revenues, the ticket revenues, basically the biggest revenues the sports events, sports organization are receiving. And the third one is about distribution, media distributions. We talk about we have two types of customer. Some of the customer are really lucky; they're able to go and watch the games. But we also have the customer they're not so lucky; they have to watch the sports at home. So the requirement for different types of customers might be different, right? So let's talk about three different types of the sports product distribution. So we start with facility first. So the facility selection is one of the very important decisions for the sports marketer, I would say sports manager, they have to make. So facility is crucial. That is the place where we can deliver this event. We can allow fans, customers able to come over and get that experiences. So when we're selecting the facilities, a lot of factors that will impact the facility selections. Of course, one of the very important factor is money, right? The budget you have that will determine where you can construct a facility and where you'll be able to host these events. So location is actually very crucial for this decision-making process. Location is crucial also to the experience of every sports customers. When we look at the American sports facility evolution, you find out the location of the facility is kind of interesting, right? At the very beginning, when we just started to have the sports facilities, right? I think that was back to 150 years ago when we started to have the professional baseball league. So a lot of facility was constructed at that time was temporary, right? Because they just started to have the baseball league. So those baseball league are not very stable. They develop for a few years and then collapse. So for all those businessmen, so they don't want to build up something permanent because maybe they believe this is not going to be existing for a very long period of time. They don't want to waste too much money on this. So a lot of these facilities were temporary. But later on, until I think the beginning of 20th century, we started to build up these permanent sports facilities. When we look at the facility has been built 120 years ago, right? You find a lot of these facilities are located in downtown area, right? Why are they building the facility in the downtown area? That's because it's convenience to all the fans, right? People are coming to downtown. They have the public transport. They can take bus. They can go to downtown and watch the games. Very easy, very convenient. But later, with the city started to expand it. We started to make it bigger, more populations living in the downtown area in the city. It's hard and hard for the investor to go and find a place to build the facilities in the downtown area because it's very expensive. Cost is very high. And also you won't be able to get a big area that you can build the facilities. Right? They started to move this facility outside of downtown. Right? One of the examples you look at here is one of the new stadiums in the US is the AT&T stadiums in Dallas, right? So AT&T stadium actually is not in Dallas downtown. It's like 40, 50 minutes drive from downtown Dallas, right? So because the city is growing, going to find a place in the city is harder and harder. So we're gonna find the other places where we can build up its entire facilities. When we build these facilities, we have to think about whether the facility is close to all this public transport. And now with the car become pretty popular, pretty much every household they will have one or two, even three cars, right? So you would need a bigger places where you can build up the entire parking lot, easy for fans to come and watch the game, right? So facility selections, location is very important. They have been changed all the time. Speaking of the location, I'm using an example is like Wrigley Field. So Wrigley Field, in what made this stadium so unique. If you visit Wrigley Field before, you find out it's just a small stadium, but they have got decent location. They located in downtown Chicago, right? Close to all the restaurant, close to all this like community, close to the beach. Wonderful location, right? Although this stadium is very small, like unlike like the other big new stadiums nowadays. But what made this stadium so unique, right? Think about it. The landscape important, right? The history is also important, right? Histories include the Wrigley Field is basically the one of the oldest stadiums in the U.S., right? So it was built in 1940s, right? And the oldest baseball ballpark was a Fenway Park that was built in 1913s. So Wrigley Field is basically second oldest baseball ballparks in the United States, right? So the history made the stadium so unique. A lot of people would like to go and really watch the games. You know, Wrigley Field has experienced a lot of like remodel and constructions, but the locations has been chosen the same place over and over again, right? The experiences will be really different. The athletics also made this facility become very attractive. So when the new sports facility is being built, right, people always like to discuss about the shape of these, the facility, the design of the facilities, right? So sometimes problem also become something made this sports facility unique, right? We talk about this facility, including Fenway Park, including Wrigley Field. So these two ballpark, you know, have long history. It was built in downtown, but the size is very small, right? It's pretty compact facilities, right? So and transportation we talk about very important when we select the place where we can build our facilities, right? So this is a facility selection process. So the next one is about the ticket distribution, right? Ticket distributions is also one of the very important decisions for the sports marketer they have to make, right? Because the ticket revenue is one of the biggest revenues in the sports industries. For the ticket distribution, it's actually a very good example of the fast changing environments of the sports marketing channels, right? So if you look at the trend in the last 20, 30 years, right, we find out that three very interesting trends that we can discuss today. First one, right, traditionally, people are buying ticket at the box office, right, box office sales. And now online sales become very common, become very popular, right? So for the online sales, you really address some of the issues such as like duplicate ticket, right? Sometimes people may have two same ticket or a lot of fake ticket. They try to get access to stadium, right? So they also minimize a lot of problems. If someone, you know, you lost your ticket in the past, you're so worried about it. Now you basically don't have to worry about it because the ticket is actually in your cell phone. Right? As long as you have your cell phone, you are able to, you know, get access to stadium, so you don't have to worry about loss. So this is one of the very interesting trend, right? So the number shows in 2008, so about 46% of the NCAA Division I college football season ticket holder, they chose to renew their season tickets online instead of like go to the stadium and renew that, right? And the number went up to nearly 60% a few years later. Now most of the customers, season ticket holder, they decided to renew the season tickets online, right? That is the first chain. So think about why this chain becomes so important, right? Because they all has been contributed by, right, the technology advancement, right? The appearance of the smartphone and applications, We have tablets, we have laptops. It's made things become a lot easier for us to book tickets. Unlike in the past, if we want to go somewhere, buy tickets, so we have to go to the agency. Sometimes we have to, go to the stadiums. Right now, everything can do it online, can do it by yourself, save a lot of time, right? The second thing is about print tickets to paperless ticket, and we talked about previously, right? So in the past, some people would like to have the print tickets. We have to buy it, print it off. Now people are using the paperless tickets, right? So a lot of advantage is very convenience, which explained previously. You don't have to worry that you're gonna lose your tickets, but also have some issues. Is that some old-fashioned fans, they still like collecting these tickets, using this ticket to refresh their great memories they had with their friends and families. So this is the second trend. The third trend is now when we try to sell tickets, we're using big data, right? Big data is really helpful. Big data is actually very good for the customers and also good for the marketers. So now we buy things online. So every time when we have to buy things online, they all ask you to sign up for the memberships. When you sign up for membership, you basically have to disclose your names, address, phone number, email address, date of birth, and all this kind of information, right? So you share this information with them. It's convenient for you because every next time when you buy the ticket again, they know it's you, so they will recommend something that made you feel more interesting. It's also good for the marketer. So having this big database, we get to know our customer better. So we know what kind of thing this customer purchased in the past. So we can predict what kind of thing they will be more likely to buy right now, right? So those are these advantage, right? Having these big data. So for the marketers, they basically can build up a long-term relationship with the customer. So in the past, we have to give customer phone call to build up the long-term relationship. Now with that applications, with this internet support, so we can build up the relationship with the customers. We can recommend something the customers are looking for, right? So this is about ticket distributions. So the last topic we're going to talk about is about the media distribution. So distribution channel for media users, right? We talk about we have two types of customers. One type of customer, you are able to go to the games, so you have to buy tickets, right? Another type of customer, a lot of people, they can't go to the game, so they decided to stay home, watch the game. So for this kind of final customer, a lot of time, the channel for them is going to be the media, right? Different types of media platform. Like if you look at the evolution of the medias in the US, so at the beginning, newspaper, right? Popular newspaper like once a week, and later become daily. And then radio popular, so a lot of sports information that has been distributed through radio channels. In 1950s, television became popular. And in 1970 and 1980s, cable TV became popular. So you'll be able to watch more sports event, live games, right? So your experience has been changed completely. So media has been changed all the time until today. We have very different types of media landscape, right? So we are not just have traditional media like newspaper, televisions, like radios. We also have the new media, we say digital media, right? We have internet, we have news website, we have social media, right? We also have like now streaming, online streaming media are also pretty popular too, right? So we have a lot different way that we can consume sport, we can watch sport. So that really, change the contents. So speaking of the media distribution, you have to know, although traditional media was a steady decline, right? Like a lot of newspapers are collapsed, particular local newspaper, right? And also television is also struggling right now. For many years, television's become the most important media platforms in our life, but it's been struggle right now. the cable subscriber has been declining every year. Every year, about 10,000 people decided not to subscribe cables, right? So, but you have to know until today, most of people still obey a lot of information, watch sport through television, right? If we talk about television, there are different types of television. Sports has been broadcast on television channels, right? The first one is like free-to-air TV. A lot of you know, you buy the TV in your dormitory. You don't have to buy cable. You just get antenna. You can get a lot of local channels, right? In Oxford, you possibly get 20, 30 local channels, right? So that's a free to air the channels. The second one is cable, right? Cable we talked about started in 1970s. ESPN became the first 24 hours sports channels, cable channels, right? Cable TV, they deliver cable signals through satellite, right? So we have general sports networks like ESPN. We have a very specific sports networks like golf channel, like tennis channels. We have a league network. We have NBA network, MFL network, MLB network. We also have some team. They have their own network, like Yankee. They have their own network. They only provide content to their local fans. In addition to that, we also offer other types of service to enhance customer satisfaction. Particularly, we have something like sports tier, like MFL. They package like Sunday games together as a Sunday tickets, like on the delivered all the Sunday games on the direct TV, so people are able to watch all the games through one platforms instead of like going to different TV channel to watch different kind of games. Right. There's also another one is called pay-per-view. This has been mainly utilized in boxing games or MMA. Right. I think some students might remember a few years ago, we have a very well-known boxing games between Mayweather's and Manny Pacquiao. The game was live on one particular channels at that time. Sports fans have to pay like $100 in order to watch that fight, right? Just one game, 4 hours, but you pay $100, right? So it's kind of expensive. For kind of like you go and watch a real games. So this is about different types of the way how the televisions can provide different types of service to enhance customer satisfaction, particularly the media customers. Customers' satisfactions are always impacted by a lot of different factors. For a lot of different televisions, in order to broadcast this content on their platform, they have to spend a lot of money. Right, the broadcasting right fee has been increased significantly, become one of the very important revenue sources in the professional sports industry in the United States. So since broadcasters spend a lot of money, so they also need to have the power to say, right? So a lot of time for people who you are following the college football, so you find out college football schedule, they don't normally release the schedule until 2 weeks, right? So for all those the games, right? So they all depends on the result. So for the NCAA, they're waiting for the result. For all the different channels, they're waiting for the result. So ESPN, they pay more money than the other broadcasters, so they have the right to pick the most important matches in that particular weekend, right? So they wait like 2 weeks before the game start, and then they can select, okay, I decided to pick these games on this prime time. I pick the other game on the other time, right? So they have the right. So the more money the broadcaster put into the event, so they have the chance to decide the schedule of this event. So this happened not just in professional sport or college sport, but also at the major international sporting events like the Olympic Games. So some students might know the NBC has the right to broadcast the Olympic Games in the United States. And in order to have that right, NBC does spend a lot of money. So the money NBC spent was nearly $1 billion every 2 years to broadcast the Olympics, including Summer Olympic and the Winter Olympic. And normally, NBC signed a long contract with the IOC. All the contract is last for 10 years. So they signed a contract. They already renewed the contract to 2032 Olympics. So since NBC pay a lot of money, and also the money NBC pay is share more than 50% of the broadcasting revenues generated by the IOC, which means the money NBC pay is more than the combination of any other broadcaster broadcasting the Olympic Games, right? So since they pay a lot of money, so they have the power to make a decision what kind of like events should be compete at the prime time. So one of the example was in 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. Some people know the time differences between Beijing and the United States is 12 hours during the summer, right? So Eastern time and Beijing is 12 hours. If you live in California, possibly the time difference is 15 hours. So in the U.S., Summer Olympic Games, the most popular sport obviously is track and field, swimming, and gymnastics. Those are three most popular sports during the Summer Olympic Games in the U.S. Audience are very interested and want to watch it. Normally, swimmer get used to compete at night, right? So all the final are scheduled at night, and so they prepare themselves for the whole night to compete. Find their best form at night. But the 2008 Olympic, the final has been scheduled in the morning. The reason is because they want to meet the requirement of the NBC, because NBC want to broadcast track and field and the swimming at the prime time in the United States, which happen to be in the morning time in Asia. So for all those swimmers, so they have to change their schedule, training schedule. So they have to before the Olympic, a year before the Olympics, so they have to figure out how they're able to find their best form in the morning instead of at night. So it's very challenging. So you talk about, this is one of the examples of how NBC have the power to change that schedule of the Olympic Games, right? Not just summer games, but also the winter games. Or 2018 winter games took place in Korea, right? One of the most popular sport to watch during the Winter Olympics is definitely the figure skating, really popular in the US, right? So all the figure skating final has been scheduled in the morning in Korea. So normally figure skating final has also been scheduled in the afternoon or at night, right? Fans are more exciting, athletes are more exciting, but in order to be broadcast in the United States, so the Olympic Games, these popular events has been scheduled, their final has been scheduled in the morning. That happen to be the prime time in the US. So this is like how the broadcasters have the power to decide the Olympic schedules. But now we are using different types of the media, right? With the technological advancement, so we're able to use internet to watch different types of sports, right? So internet play a very important role. We have the radio. We have the free-to-air video section with the web access that we can listen to radios through the internet, right? We have a lot of cable radio channel as well. Also, we have a sports networks and started collaborated. Have some social network able to watch some sports games. So some students might realize the MFL. In these past 2 years, if you have the Amazon Prime memberships, you'll be able to watch MFL Thursday night football, right? So they have the collaboration with that. Before the collaboration with the Amazon, the MFL collaborated with Twitter, right? So Twitter was able to broadcast the MFL games on Twitter platforms. And Twitter also used to have a collaboration with the NHL, so you can watch NHL on Twitter as well, right? So in order to let young generation have the opportunity to watch more sport, so they started to change, moving this around. So starting from the traditional broadcaster on television, started moving to online, right? So that is one of the new chain. One of the very popular platform right now is called over the top. The abbreviation is OTT. So basically, the content provider distribute film and TV content to the viewer through the internet without requiring user to subscribe a traditional cable service. Right, so OTT has become very popular. One of the very famous example for the OTT is Netflix. right? Netflix, a lot of people go and watch this TV show on Netflix because you don't have to watch commercial. How nice is that? And you'll be able to watch a lot of different types of commercial. You can stop that anytime you want, right? And you can watch multiple different episodes if you want. So that's kind of nice, right? So Netflix normally show the entire season. You don't have to watch like traditional TV. You have to wait every week in order to watch that next episode, right? So this is kind of nice. So this is a kind of like OTT service, right? So OTT service has also been utilized in sports. So one of the example is some people might use a Sling TV, right? So in the past, we were using cable to watch sport, to watch ESPN. Right, but I'm not sure you know how much you have to spend for the cable. So the cheapest normally the cable's package, if you want to watch ESPN, will be at least $60 to $70. So the study showed American household used to spend average is nearly $90 per month in order to watch the cable TV. So for the $90 package, you normally will get like 180 TV channel. Do you know how many channel do these cable users normally will watch? So the average cable channel, these cable subscriber normally will watch is 16 channel. Basically, you buy 160, 180 channels, you only watch 16 channels, so you waste a lot of money. And also the cable costs are very high. So a lot of customer decided to not to subscribe cable, and we're gonna find another options. So now we are able to watch different sports through the OTT service. Like Sling TV is one of the example. Sling TV now is kind of expensive as well. In the past, when a Sling TV is selling the membership, they only charge you $15. Then you'll be able to watch ESPN 1, 2, 3, and also some other channels as well. Now Sling TV, the price has also been increased because broadcaster their viewership is down, so a lot of people watch the broadcaster not through cable but through the OTT service. So for the broadcaster, they want to charge the OTT service a little bit more money to make up this deficit. So now Sling TV, if you want to get a membership, if you want to either watch blue or orange, you have to spend like $25 or $30. It's a lot expensive than before. But it's still much cheaper than you spend $90 on cable, right? So a lot of people decide to subscribe Sling TV and watch TV channel, like this cable TV channel on this OTT service. That's also a new trend right now, become very, very popular. So this is give you some idea how this video service started being transformed into the digital content, right? In the past, we have like preview view, cable, we could have a DVD, we can record this, we have a cable and pay TV subscription, right? And now started transforming to the OTT service, right? We have sports like you have MLB TV, you have ESPN, you'll be able to watch on this OTT service like Sling TV or PlayStation Vero. So there are just a lot of different changes nowadays. So this is about the media broadcaster. So the one final topic we'd like to talk about is what is next? What will happen in the future? Right? So in the past, people were watching sports through cable, through televisions. Now people start watching through online. And a lot of fans, possibly you don't have the patience to watch the whole games. You just want to watch the highlight, right? Where can you watch the highlight? Again, in internet, right? The social media, they just send out around this highlight. You can watch the highlights, and you kind of like know what's going on in these games, right? So what's next? A lot of discussion right now, because Amazon started to buying some sports contents. We know we talk about the MFL Thursday night games has been broadcast on the Amazon right now. Amazon in the UK, they're also starting to buy some tennis games to target UK markets, right? So that is kind of nice. So give fans some more options. People would like to know whether Amazon in the future they would like to build up more sports content, live stream more sports events on their platform, and people start shifting around. Instead of going to watch ESPN, but you decide to go and watch Amazon. So that's the one thing. Another thing is Netflix, right? We know Netflix was a pioneer of the OTT service. A lot of subscribers. Netflix has not been really focused on sports, so there are a lot of discussion and question about whether Netflix in the future will have interest in live streaming some sporting events on their platforms, right? So for this kind of trend, how would that impact the current entire business models in the media industry? So definitely that will impact the traditional media, the revenue model. So traditional media, how are they going to generate revenue? Through two ways. First one is advertiser. Second one is through cable subscriber. They pay money every month. This is how they generate monies, right? With that subscribe numbers going down, sports fans start watching the online TV, right? So the revenue they generate through the other areas will goes down. The advertising revenue will also goes down because advertiser will let you know how many viewers, then they can invest the monies, right? But for the professional sports league, that's actually a good news because you can sell the broadcast right to the traditional media. You can also sell this broadcast right to this new media. So they give them a new revenue generation platforms. So that's actually a positive thing for the professional sport and also for the media industry. So give fans more options. More competitive competition among them. Sports fans are always the one who actually have a benefit from these competitions. Okay, so today and this week, we talk about the distribution of sports product. Try to have a quick review here. We talk about 4 steps in the distribution stages when we introduce the distributions concept, right? So those 4 steps, first of all, we have to go and identify the channels and intermediaries, and then we're going to determine the cost of distribution, develop a distribution systems, and also identify whether we would like to intensively distribute this product or we just say exclusive distribute these products, but that related to distribution intensity. So we also talk about the differences between direct distribution and indirect distributions. Direct distribution is we are able to sell things to the customer. Indirect distribution is we have to go through the third party. Sometimes it's intermediaries and also the retailers, right? We also talk about the evolution of the media distribution from traditional media to today online media. Okay, so this is this week's class distributions of sports product. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Okay, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.